Hey there! Election day is almost here. So let's take a look at Trump, who was the 45th President of the United States from 2017 to 2021, and now running again to be the 47th President of the United States. So, what has he done and accomplished as the 45th President of the United States? Unprecedented economic boom, before the China virus invaded our shores, built the world's most prosperous economy, delivered a future of greater promise and opportunity for citizens of all backgrounds. Rebuilding and investing in rural America, achieved a record-setting economic comeback by rejecting blanket lockdowns. Tax relief for the middle class, passed $3.2 trillion in historic tax relief and reformed the tax code. Massive deregulation, ended the regulatory assault on American businesses and workers. Fair and reciprocal trade, secured historic trade deals to defend American workers and put America first. Historic support for American farmers, American energy independence, unleashed America's oil and natural gas potential. Investing in America's workers and families. Affordable and high-quality childcare for American workers and their families. Advanced women's economic empowerment. Ensured American leadership in technology and innovation. Preserved American jobs for American workers. And rejected the importation of cheap foreign labor life-saving response to the China virus. Restricted travel to the United States from infected regions of the world. Great healthcare for Americans. Empowered American patients by greatly expanding healthcare choice, transparency, and affordability. Remaking the federal judiciary. Appointed a historic number of federal judges who will interpret the Constitution as written. Achieving a secure border. Secured the southern border of the United States. Restoring American leadership abroad. Advanced peace through strength. Renewed our cherished friendship and alliance with Israel. And took historic action to promote peace in the Middle East. Stood up against communism and socialism in the Western Hemisphere, colossal rebuilding of the military, defeated terrorists, held leaders accountable for malign actions, and bolstered peace around the world. Addressed gaps in America's defense industrial base, serving and protecting our veterans, making communities safer. Signed into law landmark criminal justice reform, unprecedented support for law enforcement, implemented strong measures to stem hate crimes, gun violence, and human trafficking, cherishing life, supporting the sanctity of every human life, and works tirelessly to prevent government funding of abortion. Stood up for religious liberty in the United States and around the world. Safeguarding the environment, took strong action to protect the environment and ensure clean air and clean water. Secured agreements and signed legislation to protect the environment and preserve our nation's abundant national resources. Expanding educational opportunity, fought tirelessly to give every American access to the best possible education, took action to promote technical education, drastically reformed and modernized our educational system to restore local control and promote fairness, prioritized support for historically black colleges and universities. So what's Trump as President of the United States of America? Is he planning to do if re-elected? Here's Trump's proposed plans and platform on key issues for the 2024 election. Would have to be passed by Congress, which has the power of the purse. Taxes. Trump proposed to eliminate federal taxes on tips, and Harris echoed. Inflation. Trump has pledged to end the inflation nightmare. Child tax credit. Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, Trump's running mate, has pitched boosting the child tax credit to $5,000, up from the current top tax break of $2,000, advocated providing the tax credit to all Americans, including higher earners. Abortion, touted his nomination of 3 of the 5 justices who voted to overturn Roe. Trump has said the issue should be left up to the voters of each state, that the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land. IVF. Trump unveiled a new plan last month that would require the federal government or insurance companies to cover the costs of IVF treatments. Immigration. Plans to prohibit undocumented immigrants from receiving any benefits. Plans to end the catch and release practice of releasing migrants while they await immigration hearings. Plans to block federal grants to sanctuary cities' education. Proposal for K-12 schools include having parents elect school principals, cutting federal funding to any school teaching critical race theory climate change. Proposed getting rid of President Joe Biden's policies, restricting emissions, and targeting 67% of new vehicles to be electric by 2032, and massively scaling up oil and gas production. Summed up his energy policy with the slogan, "Drill, baby, drill." Guns, vowed. No no one will lay a finger on your firearms. Israel and Gaza moved the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and ended decades of U.S. opposition to Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. The Biden administration reversed the settlement decision. Ukraine and Russia claimed he could end the war in Ukraine in a day. He has also claimed that Russian President Vladimir Putin would never have invaded Ukraine under his administration. Foreign Policy and Defense wants European allies to pay back the U.S. for depleting its military stockpiles by sending weapons to Ukraine. Signed the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act and the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act into law. Iran nuclear deal. Withdrew the U.S. from the 2015 deal in 2018. Trump called it disastrous and a great embarrassment. Justice Department pledged to appoint 100 U.S. attorneys who would be aligned with his policies and investigate some left-leaning local district attorneys, pledging to establish a DOJ task force on protecting the right to self-defense and fight purported anti-conservative bias at law schools and law firms. Crime vowed to invest in hiring and retaining police officers and increase their protections from legal liability, push policies like stop and frisk, direct the DOJ to dismantle every gang, street crew, and drug network in America, deploy federal troops including the National Guard to restore law and order when local officers refuse to act, and impose the death penalty for drug dealers, drug cartels, and human traffickers. Economy proposes cutting taxes and slashing federal regulations, also proposing baseline tariffs on foreign goods in hopes of spurring American manufacturing, which will go up for countries who have unfair trade practices. Healthcare proposed requiring federal agencies to buy medicines and medical devices manufactured in the U.S. and barring federal agencies from other countries from purchasing essential drugs. He has also taken a hardline stance on China, calling for new restrictions on Chinese-owned infrastructure in the U.S. and wants to build a missile defense shield homelessness plans to work with states to ban public camping by homeless people and instead give them the choice of receiving treatment or being arrested, and calls for creating large tent cities where homeless people would be relocated, which would have doctors and social workers on site, along with expanding mental institutions. Transgender Rights takes a hard stance against transgender rights, calling for any healthcare provider providing gender-affirming care for youth to be terminated from Medicare and Medicaid, stripping federal funding from any school where an official or teacher suggests a child could be trapped in the wrong body, and encouraging Congress to pass legislation saying the only genders recognized by the U.S. government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. Big Tech said he'll pass an executive order barring any federal department from working with other entities to censor Americans and prohibit federal money from being used to combat misinformation, also announcing steps like altering Section 230 to open up social media platforms to more legal liability. So that is what Trump has accomplished and has contributed to our country. And what are his plans and platforms on key issues that can contribute to the betterment of our country once elected? We have to make a wise decision about who we are going to vote. We have to look back when our country is better off. Was it under Trump administration, or was it during Biden administration with Harris as his VP these last 3-4 years? When did you feel safer? When did you have more money in your pocket? When did you have more freedom of speech and religion? Before the coronavirus spread from China across the globe, Trump helped America build its strongest economy in history. Median household incomes rose to their highest level ever in 2019, while the poverty rate hit an all-time low. Under the Trump administration, more Americans were employed than ever before, 160 million, and the unemployment rate fell to a 50-year low. The unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Americans without a high school diploma all hit record lows, while the Trump blue-collar boom saw wages grow faster for workers than for managers or supervisors. Source: National Archive, January 15, 2021. Can Trump best represent our country internationally? Can Trump again talk and negotiate with other foreign leaders, which he did before? Can Trump again protect our country from foreign adversaries? May God give us the wisdom to choose the right applicant for the position of the President of the United States of America. Election Day is November 5th, 2024. Vote wisely, and God bless. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. Disclaimer: this article is taken from news articles, websites, and reports. You can agree or disagree. You can do your research to see if those news articles websites and reports are true or fake. Again, this is not an endorsement. It's up to you to decide who you think is the best applicant, the best candidate for the position of the President of the United States of America.